Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. She's the host of the program, and this is the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, the owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, here in Colorado, you have said before that real estate agents are licensed to fill out the forms the state gives them to complete the legal contracts for buyers and sellers. What about new homes? How are these different from existing or resale homes?
Well, Richard, they are completely different. The builders actually write their own contracts, and they're allowed to do that because they want to protect their interests. They are the seller, okay, and they are not required to use the state forms. So it makes the transaction a little bit different. So I think it's a good idea to bring a real estate agent along with you just to at least read the contract and maybe get a feel for what's in there, because it doesn't cost you any more to do that. And a lot of times what I see in these contracts is the builders put in things that could be a problem for you, like the earnest money being non-refundable right out of the gate, that kind of thing. And they need to warrant their systems, and they do things. So some of the things that they do to kind of bring you into writing offers on their homes are that they have brand new systems. Everything's under warranty. You know exactly what you're going to get. Sometimes it's preferable for buyers to be able to pick their own colors or pick their own lot if they're actually starting from the ground up. And the biggest thing that I think they're winning on right now is all of the incentives that they're offering. Many times builders have various homes that they've started in different phases. So some are maybe 2/3 of the way ready, or they've just broke ground and they'll be ready in a couple of months, whatever it is. But as they go further along the construction path, if they have not sold the home yet, they start offering really good deals. And many times these are off-market deals. So you want somebody that's out there kind of bird dogging for you to find these kind of deals if that's what you're looking for. And yes, builders use their own contracts. It could be a problem because there really aren't a whole lot of protections in place for the buyer. All the protections are actually designed for the seller. That's why I recommend that you take an agent that has some experience with you. Because most people, when they fall in love with a new construction home, typically they go into the model, they walk through, and it looks amazing. It's perfectly staged. It has great views. It has everything. And they go, oh, I love this. I want a house just like this. And then, okay, that's fine. If you want to reserve it, you got to put down a deposit, pick your property, and signs the papers. So typically there's not time to go grab an attorney and have an attorney review the contract. Because they'll say stuff like, well, we've got another buyer interested. So if you don't sign it today, it might be available for somebody else that's coming in on Sunday. They play that game all the time, Richard. Did you know that?
It just doesn't surprise me because people like to take advantage of folks and put them in a situation where they can't talk to other people. They can't sort it out. You got to make that decision right now, because if you don't, it's going to be gone.
That's right. That's what they do. And sometimes it might be true. I mean, I just went up to one of the townhome projects on the west side that I had recently sold a home in, and just kind of checking in to see how they're doing. Oh, those 4 up there. So the first time I went, these 2 units over here have views. And here we are 2 weeks later, those are sold. And we only have this one and this one and this one available. So they do move pretty quick. And recently I've known several buyers. Now, they weren't working with me when they did this, but they needed to walk away from their new construction contract. So as a buyer, you really need to know what is the penalty for that. I had somebody that, again, I wasn't working with them when they did this, but the penalty was $25,000 and they never got a house. Could you imagine, Richard?
$20,000?
25,000 they lost.
Jeez.
One of the big builders in town said, nope, sorry. Even though they turned around and sold it to someone else the next day, they didn't work with them at all.
That is crazy.
And so I've even seen them do it on buyers getting a VA loan, in which you're not supposed to keep their earnest money. They could pull out over loan or whatever after the appraisal. They'll put provisions in there that really don't protect the buyer. So you have to be careful. You have to have somebody on your side that's not emotionally tied up into the deal and can sit down and read it while you might be picking colors and doing the fun stuff. The other thing that you need to look at is there are other items in the contract, like there's one that it basically has to do with title insurance. And so many of the buyers, when they go to a new construction site, they may not have an agent with them. They're just out looking at homes. It's kind of fun to walk in new construction models and wander through and see the decorating. And it's just it's a happy place. It really is. So they get emotionally caught up into it if they do decide to buy one. And they're like, oh my God, I got to have it. And sometimes the salespeople on site say, hey, if you don't, put a deposit down on this one today, we got somebody coming in tomorrow that's going to grab it. So it's very kind of emotional and a little intimidating. So they do it. And yet they don't really understand the contracts. In the state of Colorado, there's a little tiny improvement. It doesn't cost very much money, about $100, that you can protect yourself in case the builder goes bankrupt. And let's say and this happened back during the meltdown, where these builders went out and they were building all these homes. They call them spec homes, where they start the home early and it might be 90% done. The buyer walks in and says, oh, this is great. It's ready in a month. Wonderful. I'll take it. They close on it. So they could have 10 or 15 homes at different levels of construction. Okay. And so the buyer buys it. They close on it. Everything's good. And the next thing you know, this builder declares bankruptcy and does not pay the guys that put in the ducting and the electrical of that home. And because the buyer didn't use a real estate agent, they didn't know what to do. Those electricians and those, they call them tin men, or the guys that put in the ducting, successfully got mechanics liens against those buyers that paid 100% for the home. And when they sell it, they got to pay it again to the electrician and the tin man because the builder went bankrupt and didn't pay their subcontractors. Can you believe that happens, Richard?
Unfortunately, I can. And I always go back to why it is so important to have somebody who is experienced, have seen some of these pitfalls and landmines that are out there, and is on the lookout for things like that. Because the average person is not necessarily going to be doing that. They only do a couple of transactions over the course of their life.
Right. They're not very careful. They're more caught up in the emotion and the excitement of getting a new home. So that's part of what we do. So my name is Barb Schlinker. I am the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Barb has the buyer's team and the host of this show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about why these new homes are selling more and more as compared to resale homes. And next up, we're going to talk about how you can protect yourself if you are buying a new home, and also what you can do as a seller of a resale home. If you are thinking of making a move, that's part of what we do. We actually have guaranteed upfront cash offers. We have over 27,753 buyers in waiting just on our little website, looking for homes. Typically, we can match at least 100 buyers. That would be a high match for your home. So if you are thinking of moving, this is what we specialize in. Give us a call. We can come by and take a look at your home and give you a free in-home consultation, give you ideas on what to do, what not to do to get your house ready for sale, go over all the costs so you know exactly about how much you're going to put in your pocket when it sells, and you can plan on making your next move. And there's no cost or obligation to do that. So if you are interested in that, either go to barbhasthebuyers.com or call us at 719-301-3900. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She is your real estate voice and the host of the program. And if you're thinking of making a move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Barb, what are some other issues that you see out there with new construction contracts and the entire process?
Well, make sure you read the contracts. I would say most commonly, buyers might lose their earnest money deposit if they change their mind after they've signed on the bottom line, or maybe they can't sell their home and they don't have a kick out clause if they can't sell their home. Either one of these situations, you need to carefully read what is in the builder's contract so you don't get stuck having to pay earnest money for a home that you're not going to buy. And also, take a look at, if you do need to sell a home, take a look at the contingencies and the terms in their contract. I recently had one where the builder was kind of getting up in the seller's business saying, hey, I want to see, tell me about your showing activity. What's the feedback been? I want you to lower your price by $25,000. Would you imagine that? I mean, you're a builder, you put a contract on a new home contingent on your home selling, and yet the builder wants to get involved with the home that you're selling. Do you think that's a little too much, Richard?
I think that's not just a little too much. I think that's way too much.
Yeah, I agree. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is kind of when they put that in the category of none of your business.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah, and make sure that, you're protected against liens and all the things that we just talked about in the last segment. And this is part of what we do. We help buyers and sellers through this transition. It's one of the hardest challenges in real estate, is to make that transition from selling one home and getting into another home. And we have a lot of great options for you. So if you are thinking of making a move, give us a call at 719-301-3900, or you can visit barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She's the host of the program, and she is your real estate voice. And if you're thinking of making any move, call Barb at 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. If you have a friend or relative who's thinking about it, recommend Barb as well. That's what I do. This discussion fits and dovetails in with the next topic. When we come back, we'll be discussing how to get multiple cash offers when you're selling your home. Stay tuned for that.